Hey everyone, welcome back to our movie news. This is a video that I think needs to be made because if it benefits just one person, then I've done my job here. I put this out on my community page of my channel and on Twitter, and I want to develop the discussion further. I said, my channel is in a really weird place right now. I make a Rebel Moon video and the comments are filled with people hating on it. I make a DCU video and the comments are filled with people hating on it. And as someone who just likes or is interested in both, it really sucks to see happen. Now, I was umming and ahhing if I should even make a video about this, as I was asking myself, is it really needed? Sure, I've had some negative comments on my recent videos, but that will pass as things hopefully brighten up, and in all honesty, it's not that big of a deal. But then I read this one comment, and it was all I needed to make this video. Chris Sullivan said, people are treating and talking about these movies like it's a political rally or something. They really need to lighten up. And he also said, your videos are great, man, keep it up, which I really appreciate, so thank you, Chris. But his first sentence put it better than I ever could have. This is larger than just my channel. It's a commentary on how the DC fandom has become so divided. The main chunk of blame is on Warner Brothers, no matter which side you're on. It's their fault mainly. They hired Snyder, and then they got rid of him, and then later down the line, they hired Gunn and put him in charge. Everything has happened the way it happened because of them. If you have an issue with anything that has happened at DC, most likely it was because of Warner Brothers. But the fandom itself should take some responsibility for it because it really has become political. Not with political messages or anything specifically to do with politics and politicians, but the way people have acted for years and years regarding politics is exactly how some in these fandoms are now acting as well. The only difference is that this has become worse than politics because at least in the grand scheme of things, politics actually matters. With politics, you are arguing about the future of the country. It is something that will affect every single person within your country. With these films, you're arguing about which superhero style you think is better. Films are just entertainment. Sure, some are deeper than others, but at the end of the day, to most people, they are not on the same level of importance as politics is. But some of these fans act as if this is the be-all and end-all, and if you like Snyder instead of Gunn, or Gunn instead of Snyder, then you're the enemy. Some people get death threats for simply liking a director's work. I've literally had it happen to me. These extreme fans act as if Snyder is one politician and Gunn is another, and they're battling it out against one another to become president. And so followers from each side are trying to tarnish the reputation of the other politician and their followers. Now, I haven't experienced too much with Gunn fans particularly, so I don't know if they are Gunn fans specifically or just Snyder haters. But there seems to be some form of correlation where when someone is hating on Snyder, they tend to do it to prop up Gunn in some way, or they praise Gunn to bash Snyder. But I don't know if that is because they are a Gunn fan specifically, or just someone who is maybe a DC fan who just hates Snyder. But when I say Gunn fan, that is what I'm referring to. Over the last 3 years on the channel, I have experienced a lot of toxicity from both sets of fans, so I know it's not just a one-way thing. I've been called a Snyder cultist for praising his movies, and a Gunn cultist for praising a decision he has made. And it really has become political. It's more about dragging down the opponent than just liking films now. I see someone praising Snyder in some way, and then there are people doing everything in their power to drag him down, even making information up about him to make him look bad. And the same happens for Gunn. Now, whether or not you like their movies or them as people doesn't really matter, because it's not about that. It's about people going out of their way purposefully hating on the opposition just because they treat it like politics. Neither director is against one another. They're friends. They have literally both stated multiple times that they are buddies. It's not even like they're competing for the same job either. Snyder is at Netflix and Gunn is at DC. And you can't say Gunn replaced Snyder because Snyder was out of DC in 2017 and only came back shortly in 2021 to finish his Snyder Cut, and then he was out again. And Gunn didn't even get rid of the Snyderverse. Warner Brothers did in 2017. Even when Cavill and Affleck were apparently returning, it wasn't going to be for Snyder. It was going to be for the DCEU that had turned its back on Snyder's story. So we weren't even going to get Snyder's true vision back. It would be like the DCEU movies we had been getting. So Gunn didn't stop the Snyderverse from returning, he stopped the DCEU from continuing. Anyway, not liking their films is completely fine. I really have no issue with that at all. In fact, I don't care. These are just movies. They are designed for entertainment. But it looks like people are getting more entertainment out of dragging other people down for liking the other director's work than watching the films of the director they are fans of. I see many comments on my Snyder videos from people who hate Snyder or his fans, attacking his movie or fans in the comments, but then they are radio silent on my DC videos. And the same goes the other way for my DCU videos. People prefer hating than loving, which is obviously what the internet thrives on. But I don't think that is an excuse, and like I said, if this video can benefit just one person, then it was worth it. I think these fandoms need to change, and I'm not saying people need to stop complaining and they're not allowed to have a negative opinion about these films or directors. You are completely entitled to your own opinion, and it would be incredibly boring if everyone just thought the same way. I'm just saying I think it may be beneficial for us as a fandom or fandoms to adjust our mindset and get a bit of perspective. These are movies where these directors write a story and get other people to pretend to be other people in said stories, and yet fans get so angry and cruel for someone else liking a movie that they didn't like. It just doesn't make sense to me, especially when these films are mainly about saving the day and are aimed at inspiring people. It's like some fans don't actually take in the lessons these films are trying to teach us. Maybe rather than thinking us versus them and having to drag down a director because you don't like their movies or fans, maybe let's think, okay, I'm not a fan of his movies, so I'll just scroll on. Or let me say it in a way where I can get a civil and mature conversation out of it, which I know is rare on the internet as so many trolls love to hide behind their screens. But these are just movies and they are made by two directors who have a passion for film. The petty hate between the fandoms is irrelevant. It doesn't do anything for anyone, and some of them act like you can't like both without betraying the other. I love the Snyderverse, those three films are some of my favourites around, and I would love to see the story complete. But I also liked Gunn's Guardians films, and I'm intrigued to see what happens with the DCU, and I'm not telling anyone else that they have to be like that, but I'm not betraying Snyder by looking forward to the new Superman movie. I think this whole mentality of there being sides is really pointless. Maybe it's my fault for having that conflict in my comment section, as I started out making updates for the Snyder Cut and then branched out to the rest of DC in general. It just so happens that my channel was created to talk about a movie coming from a director who is very controversial. But I'm not going to change. I'm going to continue to talk about the things that genuinely interest me. If the DCU turns out to suck, then I'll stop talking about it. And if I don't like whatever comes from Rebel Moon in the future, then I'll stop talking about it too. This is just a hobby for me. Yes, I do make money from it, but not enough for me to want to keep going on with it if I don't like what I'm talking about. Life is too short for me to talk about things I don't like. I'm a DC fan. I loved Snyder's DC trilogy, and I genuinely liked Rebel Moon. I didn't love it, but I thought it was fun. I liked the Guardians trilogy, but I didn't like Gunn's DC work, which makes me hesitant with the DCU, but as a DC fan, I'm naturally intrigued, and with all the negativity in the world, I want to be open-minded and optimistic. I just wish people didn't treat these movies like politics. Just because you like one film doesn't mean you can't like another, but at the same time, you don't have to like both of them. There is no denying they have very different approaches when it comes to superhero films. Snyder takes a more serious and gritty approach, wanting to deconstruct them, which some love and others hate, whereas Gunn prefers a lighter-hearted take where he loves including humor within them and using that as a part of the story, which some love and others hate. So naturally, they will be more appealing and less appealing to different kinds of fans. So whilst I have been saying it's okay to like both, it's also okay to not like both. It's what you do with that opinion that is the topic of conversation today. I think people talk less and argue more now. Social media has caused that. You can argue with someone on the other side of the planet and both be hiding behind your screens. But I think if we continue to argue and not talk with one another, fandoms and society in general will only get more divided. We grow and get closer through talking to one another, understanding and accepting that that we're different and that's okay. Now that can be used as an example of life in general and for the DC fandom. We don't have to think the same way to get along. We don't even have to agree with one another to get along. My best friend is a fan of a football club that is the direct rival to the football club that I support, but we don't let that get in the way of us getting along. Sure, we may have constant debates about which team is better, and he can never accept that my team is so much better in every way, but we never let that get in the way of us being mates. I'm not saying we all have to be mates to get along, but let's not let our enjoyment of movies cause unnecessary conflict amongst ourselves. Hopefully my video can help some gain a little perspective, and I'm hoping my channel can be a place where fans of Snyder and or Gunn can come together and have civil discussions about these movies. If I can help contribute to uniting the fandom in some way, then I'm gonna try to. And if you want to try and help me do that, then I'd be extremely grateful. But I'll stop rambling on there. Hopefully this has helped in some way. But that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I hope to see you here again soon, so until then, have a great day. Bye!